The cameras love a spectacle, and the majority loves the chance to rant against the administration. I just am glad today to see that we don't have chicken on the dais. It was really interesting to hear some of that last week. When you have a committee that has issued subpoenas that ask the Attorney General to do something illegal, when you have subpoenas, when no accommodation process has been put in place, when you have contempt issues that have been in part with no process and no time going through, I just submit to you this. Whatever your opinion on the Mueller report, great, glad you have it. But you didn't get it here today, and you're not getting it from this committee because this committee undoubtedly doesn't like the author or want to talk to the author of the report. They just want to talk about the report and make innuendo and attack the president.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, after Anons decode a mysterious tweet by former FBI Director James Comey, he suspiciously deletes it after news comes out of police arresting terror suspects in the exact location Anons predicted from the tweet, and much more you guys want to stick around and check out. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always begin by saying thank you to everybody who's hit the subscribe button. If you haven't, come here on the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted, and hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. So, this is where we are still at. We're still leaving off at QPost 3335, but there is so much happening in the news. You guys are going to want to stick around and watch this full video because we're going to talk about a few incredible stories that have come out today. Some to do with what's happening in Congress and in government as far as uncovering the truth and exposing the way that the FISA court was abused against the President of the United States and how Hillary Clinton's investigation was not followed through properly, and there were attempts to basically sweep it under the rug. But we're going to talk about this incredible story with James Comey. Now, don't forget, the last post we've gotten from Q is about James Comey, and it's him retweeting one of the Anons who made this meme of a Pepe the Frog bomb, basically Moab, mother of all bombs, coming at Comey, and basically the expletive right there that you can see. And it's all coming together now. And not only that, but now, as I said in the beginning here, Comey's actually deleting tweets and which have been decoded by Anons, and it's just an incredible story. You guys want to stick around and hear about, there's terror suspects being arrested in rural Nevada that was predicted exactly by the Anons who were decoding Comey's tweets, and now he's deleted it. Yeah, that's suspicious. But before we do that, I always encourage everyone to come back here, watch these last few videos. If you haven't already, it'll get you basically caught up on what's going on. A lot of great information here, and yeah, and if you're scratch your head going, what's QAnon, what's the Great Awakening, what's this guy talking about, I always encourage everyone to watch this video, what is QAnon, the Great Awakening. It'll give you all the information you need on it. So yeah, that's always good. So today we're going to start with the idea that Q's told us this was coming, and it's not something new. We've been talking about Comey for quite some time. For instance, it goes all the way back to when Comey originally tweeted at Andrew McCabe this weird cryptic message about standing tall and how, men of integrity and all this whatever. And Q actually gave us this decode of it that basically showed that these people are communicating in plain sight, and they're doing it. What's the best way to hide something is you hide it in plain sight, and that's what they're doing when it comes to tweeting these messages, these coded messages in their tweets, so that it's hard to pin them on saying or communicating when they are actually communicating with one another through these secret channels, but they're open channels. So like I said, you hide something in plain sight. For an example of something we've been getting lately, we've been getting these odd tweets where James Comey's just standing in a field saying, or standing in a forest here, so many questions. Like, who tweets like this? Like, to me, Twitter, it's like you get on there and you have an opinion, you say it. So there's nothing makes sense about this unless you understand that they're having these secret communications. But Q explained this very, very well before, right? This is a March 27th of this year tweet or post from Q, where it gives us first this post from this deplorable dearest QAnon, and it's saying that Comey, when Trump fired me, I thought that's potentially obstruction of justice, and that was the plan. See, and Q explains it perfectly here in the post, saying he thought that was part of the plan, endgame, hence why Rod Rosenstein drafted the recommendation letter to fire. So when Rod Rosenstein drafted the recommendation letter to fire Comey, in Comey's mind, because of his ties to the cabal, deep state, whatever you want to call it, that he thought, okay, well, this is how it's going to go down. They're going to fire me, and then I'm going to be the victim, and then I'm going to say it's obstruction of justice, and the whole country's going to stand behind me, and then we're going to impeach President Trump. Well, that didn't happen. And as it turns out, I'm not sure of exactly what Rod Rosenstein's part in all this was, but it certainly looks like he's been cooperating from day one, and he was basically one of the many cooperating witnesses, and obviously has a lot of dirt on his hands, but that doesn't mean that he couldn't have been coerced into cooperation if he had known that he had been exposed. And of course, so after the Q says this, he gives us that tweet from James Comey where he says so many questions, because James Comey is confused. That's his message to the handlers and the people he's working with. I'm so confused. I thought we were going to impeach President Trump because he fired me, and now it looks like I'm going to get thrown under the bus. Well, guess what, buddy? You're not the only one. Everyone else is coming with you. So that's what Q's trying to tell us, and it says so many questions, quote unquote. Who has full control? These people are stupid. Indictments coming, Q. So I think we can certainly expect indictments to be coming for these individuals who are involved in this abuse of the federal government and covering up their criminality and their corruption. And this is really where we're headed with the whole investigation. And of course, you have Trey Gowdy going on Hannity and talking about how there's going to be game changers that come out in exposing how they handled the FISA investigation. I think the game changers, we already know what those are going to show. Really, we know what they're going to show. It's going to show that James Comey was one of the top level individuals that was trying to cover all this up, trying to predicate this investigation off of unverified, uncorroborated evidence. And that's really what the biggest problem is. But then it goes even deeper. If you start researching Project Hammer, go research the work that Mary Fanning and Alan Jones are doing over at theamericanreport.org about the Hammer and what's going on with the fact that Clapper and Brennan, especially Brennan, came in as Obama's top clown, and he set up the Hammer, which was a intelligence surveillance apparatus, surveillance tool that could hack anything, and they were hacking entire databases illegally without any predication or warrants, and they were just using it to weaponize against their political enemies. And that is going to be the next level to this scandal, I think, that nobody's talking about. The mainstream media won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. We're sitting here in our little segregated bubbles that we have here, like in YouTube, where I can't even tell you what it's like to see the way that you get shadow banned and deboosted on these social media platforms, especially what I've gone through on a personal level with like YouTube. I'm going to be having conversations with friends on the channel here coming up that are going to talk about this, but they're doing everything they can to not talk about this, and they're doing everything they can to create algorithms that suppress it, that say, oh, this is controversial, so we're not going to put it in the suggested videos, and but I'm still getting numbers. So imagine if they weren't doing it. This channel, and it's not just me, it's so many other people across the board. And that's not including the people who've just been completely deplatformed. Thankfully, YouTube's not been as bad about that. Although obviously there's many examples one can draw on, but now it's getting to the point where we all have to understand that as Americans, we have the right to speech. We have the right to be, informed and informed citizenry. And when big tech, Silicon Valley and all them start putting their finger on the scale and trying to effectively deplatform people and take them out of the public square, that is antithetical to what our society is built on. So if you can't handle debate, if you can't handle a controversial subject, then it's your choice to either watch or not watch. But when they make that choice for you, that's when we get into the Orwellian stuff, and that's when you see the kind of corruption that we've seen in our government is not just in the government. These people are working with one another. Like I always say, you have the corrupt politicians, you have the big tech censors, and you have the fake news media. And it's like they're all in this big organization together where they just say, all right, well, we can control X amount of the population. So for now, and I hate to get into this rant but it's important, for now, when they believe they can control that amount of the population, then, they believe that they don't have to go, all out with the censorship. But it'll come if we don't correct this now. It's, if you, it's the saying, if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile, guys. And this is getting really important, especially coming up on the 2020 election where, you've already seen what they've done with Google and how they've changed the search algorithm so that it basically is like completely anti-conservative, anti-Trump. You've YouTube, who you can't even watch, you can't even watch, what you want to watch. They have to, force you to watch other things or unsubscribe you from channels or whatever. There's so many things, deboosting and not recommending, not suggesting, all of that, which has really taken a toll on a lot of creators. I can speak to that personally. And you have Facebook, who's just literally just 1984 Orwell, just disappearing people off their platform and making it illegal to have a conversation about something, or making it against policy, I should say, to have a conversation about certain individuals. You can get kicked off of a platform for sharing a link to a website. That's 1984, and I'm just man, I have to get this out because it's happening so often. We're going to talk about what Comey did, and we're going to talk about the tweet that was decoded, and then you have Twitter, who is, they're really bad with the shadow banning, and you barely get any tweet, or nobody ever sees your tweets, and nobody sees the positive comments. It's only the negative ones that get put up, especially in like President Trump's feed. And you have the people like the Krasenstein brothers, who, their whole lives. Here's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. So President Trump puts this up about his rally. And, Ed Krasenstein, this Page shill, as Q has called him, allegedly, says Pennsylvania loves at Joe Biden. And he says, didn't you hear? He leads you in the state by double digits. So he does a little Twitter poll, and he says, who would you vote for, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? Please retweet this poll so we get the best results. It's literally 38,000 votes, and 84% were for Donald Trump. So, it just kind of dawns on me that these people, even the ones who are the biggest detractors, the biggest trolls, the biggest shills, they're the ones who are making a living off of us putting, breathing air into them, because they're getting boosted by the social media platforms. And we don't have a choice but to address it because it's put in your face every single day. And it's by design. It's by design. They're manipulating you. They're manipulating all of us. And look, that's what I have to say about that. So, yeah, so many questions. Back to James Comey. We do have so many questions, former FBI director, we do. But here's one that I thought was interesting. So I did go back and I looked for this tweet. It was the tweet about 5 jobs I've had. And I went and scrolled through, and I know it was fairly recent, so I didn't have to go too far back. But it's obviously been deleted. And so and I remember because I've read the tweet before, so I know it was posted on his official Twitter page. I think I even did it on the channel here where I talked about it. And you can't find it. You can go back as far as you really can. I mean, we're going back to 2018. So obviously it's I guess it's been disappeared. Why would he delete that tweet? Well, somebody put together a graphic that kind of explains it perfectly. And here's what I have the link to the tweet itself, the actual link, and now it says, sorry, that page doesn't exist. Oh, how convenient. So it was deleted. Now, this graphic explains it all. And I'm going to say thank you to whatever Anon put this together, but it explains exactly what happened in the timeline, which is important. So what you have to understand is Joe M., very famous Twitter, big following, at Storm is Upon Us. You guys should check out his stuff if you haven't already. When this was posted, this original tweet, Joe M. did this decode, and I'd seen this. I don't know that I talked about it here on the channel, but I had seen the decode, and I thought, wow, that's an interesting thought. But it says here, Joe M. retweets a decode of Comey's 5 jobs tweet, theorizing a potential false flag in Grass Valley, Nevada. It says, Patriots alert authorities and an upcoming event is canceled. So this happened, right? What happened was they got from this, the first letters of each one, GV, grocery store, vocal soloist, chemist, strike replacement, FBI director, GV, CSF. And they figured out that this was apparently something called the Grass Valley Charter School Foundation at Nevada County Fairgrounds, which was an event that was supposed to be held on May 11, 2019. So what happened was, like it says here, Joe M. made the speculation, Patriots contacted the authorities, they decided to cancel the event. So then fast forward to May 10th, 2019. Rolling Stone releases this article saying, a ridiculous QAnon conspiracy forced a small charter school to cancel a fundraiser. And of course, they're talking about how the fundraiser was canceled and why and who was involved and what happened. So now, fast forward again to the 19th of this month, 2019. It's saying a report has come out that says police find pipe bombs in Grass Valley woman's home. Wow. Well, that's interesting. So the exact place where they predicted that this would happen, the authorities have now found somebody who is believed to be in possession of pipe bombs. This is where it gets weird. So then, on the 20th, yesterday, James Comey deletes this tweet. Wow. So, Joe M., guess does a little victory lap here saying, remember that the Grass Valley School event that was canceled because deranged conspiracy theorists saw something and then said something, and then saying, to the trolls. But wow. I mean, can you believe this? It's almost unbelievable. But this is the sequence of events. This is the timeline. And I thought this was a story that definitely warranted some coverage. So you guys let me know what you think about it down in the comments. I just thought it was fascinating that this happened, and I hope you guys share that. Now, here's a developing story about the Democrat chairman. Now, you guys know who Elijah Cummings is. He's the chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Well, him and his wife have been accused of this massive pay-to-play scandal. Well, what does it mean? Well, it's being broken here by Jim Hoft, the Gateway Pundit, and Andrew Surabian, saying a charity run by, and this is reported in the Washington Examiner, saying a charity run by the wife of Representative Elijah Cummings received millions from special interest groups and corporations that had business before her husband's committee. Oh, that's not looking good for good old Representative Elijah Cummings here. But yeah, let's just read through this little excerpt. It says, Cummings, 68, a Maryland Democrat, is chairman of the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. His wife, Maya Rockeymoore, 48, is the chairman of the Maryland Democratic Party and briefly ran in the state's gubernatorial race last year. The couple married in 2008. Cummings was once heavily in debt, in part due to hefty child support payments to his first wife and two other women he had children with. But his financial situation, it's just crazy. But his financial situation has improved considerably over the past decade. Rockeymoore runs two entities, a nonprofit group called the Center for Global Policy Solutions and a for-profit consulting firm called Global Policy Solutions, LLC, whose operations appear to have overlapped according to the IRS complaint filed by watchdog group the National Legal and Policy Center on Monday. The complaint states that the arrangement may have been used to derive illegal private benefit. Global Policy Solutions received more than $6.2 million in grants between 2013 and 2016, according to tax records. Several of the nonprofit group's financial backers, which include Google, JP Morgan, and Prudential, have business interests before the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Cummings has served as Democrat chairman of the committee since January and previously served as ranking member. No, nothing suspicious about that. It's not suspicious that the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, who's in charge of overseeing companies like Google, JP Morgan, and Prudential, is receiving, financial support from them and $6 million in grants from the government. There's nothing to see here, guys. This is not even, it's completely irrelevant that there's not possible there could be some sort of conflict of interest when your wife is the head of a foundation that's receiving financial backing from global corporations who you just happen to oversee on your committee. Yeah, I don't think there's much here. Yeah. Anyway, let's just going into the next news. Here's a great one, Loretta Lynch, and this is coming out of what we have already been talking about. So you guys remember in the last video, I shared this with you guys. More information is coming out. These are the closed-door testimony transcripts of top DOJ and FBI officials, including Loretta Lynch and Andrew McCabe and others who have been named, several of which have been named by Q directly as being involved in this. But here's another incredible little doozy coming out of the transcript between Loretta Lynch and her testimony. where she actually says in the text of the transcript right here. This is a really interesting. I wanted to share it with you. It says, and I did not, and this is the question, and I did not want to just kind of keep it basic, but I did want to kind of jump to this while we're on it, because we've been calling this an investigation. I know I'm sure you're familiar with some discussion of whether you ever instructed Director Comey to call the mid-year exam investigation a matter. Are you familiar with this? And I think he's testified to this, that you instructed, I believe, in September of 2015, Director Comey to call the mid-year exam investigation a matter. And her answer is, I heard this testimony on it, and that was the first time that he had ever indicated to me, in my understanding, he may have told others that he had that impression of our conversation. So do you believe, and the question is, so do you believe you ever instructed him to call it a matter? And she says, I did not. So now, who's lying, right? Somebody's lying. Either she's lying or Comey's lying, because Comey was the one who testified under oath that she told him to call it a matter, apparently. And she's saying she did not. So they're turning on each other. And this is what the rats do when they panic. They turn on one another. And that's what Q's been drawing our attention to. And here's another little doozy. We're just going to keep doing these little news clips here because they get better and better. The judge who ruled on Trump's finances is an Obama donor. Of course. Who would have thought? What a surprise. Another Andrew Serbian story where it shows this Amit Mehta, the judge who ruled, this guy, that President Trump should turn over all of his finances to the witch hunt, of Congress against him, which is, in my opinion, a completely errant and obviously politically biased decision. He just happens to be a mega donor, or not a mega, but a pretty big donor to the Obamas. I mean, Obama and Biden. Yeah. Nothing to see here, guys. Absolutely nothing to see here. You just pretend that you never saw it, okay? And of course, we've already covered this story to a degree, but the FBI and the DOJ brass had exculpatory evidence to absolve Trump campaign and withheld it from the FISA court, meaning they had access to the information that showed that Christopher Steele was basically working in an Oppo research capacity, hated Trump, so on and so forth, which would have invalidated a lot of the information that they had uncovered. So, and of course, we have this to look forward to. Pelosi's calling for a special caucus meeting at 9 a.m. tomorrow to talk about Trump's impeachment. So we're going to have to wait and see what kind of great stumbling speech we get there. But yeah, you can put that together on your own. And that's pretty much going to wrap. But a few more things before we go. Obviously, come here, click the big red subscribe button if you want to help the channel. Also, hit the like button if you guys like this content, want to see more. Watch these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. And leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to think about all of this. You can also come find me over here on Twitter at JustInformU, or you can come find me over here on the official website for Just Informed News, or for Just Informed Talk, justinformednews.com, where you can get links to different Q stuff, different news articles, different breaking news, and of course, you get the latest videos right here if you want to watch those. A couple other ways you can help out are both financial. You can come over here to Patreon, patreon.com. And like I was talking about with the way YouTube does what they do, I couldn't have made it to where I am today if it weren't for the support you guys have given me here on YouTube or on Patreon. It's a crowdfunding website. It's a monthly donation. You come here, there'll be a link in the description. You set it and forget it, and know you're helping create content on a regular basis. So I really appreciate that. And if you want to do a one-time or anonymous donation, I always have this GoFundMe set up, and there'll be a link in the description for that as well. So I really appreciate you guys with your support. It really makes this channel, it keeps this channel alive. I would not have made it to where I am today if it weren't for the support of all you guys out there who've really kept it alive. So before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. For today's episode, I want to talk about a piece of scripture. It's out of the book of Daniel, and it's just... I guess it's kind of like a declaration of God's greatness and how God does deliver us through all of the things that we don't maybe realize we're going to get delivered through, as they did with Daniel. And that's what I want to talk about. And this is out of chapter 2, verse 20 through 23. It reads, "May the name of God be praised forever and ever, for wisdom and power belong to him. He changes the times and seasons. He removes kings and establishes kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals the deep and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and light dwells with him. I offer thanks and praise to you, God of my fathers, because you have given me wisdom and power. How about that? Just giving thanks to God for what we have is really what's most important. Being thankful, being righteous, living a good life, helping others, being kind. When we talk about the stuff that we do here, it's always important for me personally, and hopefully for you as well, to try to temper what we cover with the idea that we are a part of something bigger, and we are children, brothers and sisters in Christ. And although evil does exist in the world, and as I say all the time, there is something to be said for righteous indignation at some of these injustices, we are called to praise God. We're called to thank God for all of our blessings, and we're called to live as Christians in this world and to put into the world what we want to see come out of it, basically. And that's what I want to push everyone to do. I want you to remember that although the world can seem dark, and although the world can seem corrupt and evil, we have to remember that God knows what is in that darkness, and light dwells with him above. So focus on the light, focus on what's good, and remember that living a righteous life and living as a child of God, and having the fear and reverence of the Lord that is necessary to be healthy and have humility in yourself before God, these are the things that we need to focus on. And that's where I always want to encourage you guys to go with your own lives, and pass that forward to either your friends or families, your spouse, your kids, whoever. Try to ingrain that in them. And then you're going to see a world that becomes more light, that becomes better. And because we all trust that God sees that evil and that they'll have their judgment. Our judgment is what's important for us to remember in how we deal with our day-to-day lives, and how we deal with ourselves, how we deal with each other. And that's what we can control. So that's my message to you guys. I want to thank you guys for joining me here for another episode of Just Informed Talk. But before I go, also, come here, hit the subscribe button. Now's a great time to do it. It helps channel out big time. And that thumbs up button, little like button, punch it, hit it, whatever, smash it. That lets me know you like this content and want to see me make more. And share the videos, because, the algorithms won't suggest them. And the views I get are basically, just views from people who are, coming in and looking for this content mostly. So, we just got to get the word out there. So I really appreciate your help in that regard. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.